Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Ross Greer, the ginger twiglet of the Green Party, has said that the council tax freeze would have been much better spent combating poverty. I can't believe that these words are about to come out of my mouth, but I actually agree with Ross Greer. Is this possibly the first time ever me and Ross Greer have been on the same page? I'm not necessarily agreeing with where it should have been spent, but I agree that the money could have been better spent. Certainly not on a council tax freeze, particularly as it's very unlikely that there will actually be a council tax freeze now. It is more likely the councils will still put the monies up. They're under no obligation, of course. But Ross Greer is right in that the money spent on it would have been better spent elsewhere. We're going to have a look at this because I honestly find myself at it must be the Christmas spirit. It must be that. How am I so generous in my praise? I'm not praising him, but I'm not castigating him, and that does make a change. But we'll take a look at this piece and see where it goes. But yeah, weird, isn't it? More gravy than grave. Anyway, here goes. Now, he says better spent combating poverty, and that is a noble thing, and I agree, yes. But I think also money into education, into hospitals, for example. And I know the sort of 130 million they're spending on what they say freezing council tax would only be about £1 million per hospital or so. But it's something. It's a couple of doctors and a few nurses a year per hospital, isn't it? That's got to do some good. Better than effectively freezing council tax rates, the highest earners and the biggest houses benefiting the most. It's very weird. But anyway, we'll have a look at this. Senior Green MSP, we're talking about grocery here, says council tax freeze cash much better spent if it was combating poverty. Ross Greer said the freeze was not a choice of the Greens, but he did provide staunch support for the income tax rises in the budget. Because of course he does. He's a Marxist. They love tax. High tax. The principles of Marxism is that you tax everybody as much as you can to give the state all the money so that the state then decides how best to spend it on you. They don't want you having the right to spend it on how you want. So it is typical of the Marxism of the Greens, but he is right about the council tax freeze. So I'm not letting him off the hook entirely. Anyway, a senior Scottish Green MSP has said the government would have been better using the cash for a council tax freeze on anti-poverty projects. Greer, tipped as a future leader, well, he certainly has been tipped by Harvey, I believe, said that the freeze was not a choice made by the Greens. The SNP and Greens share power in the government after a groundbreaking deal. The deal which had so many red lines, which apparently aren't red lines at all, despite what everybody said. See the last video. Anyway, Tuesday's budget, marked by tax rises and spending cuts, was agreed by both sides, but there were also differences behind the schemes, behind the scenes. The Greens are strongly in favour of plans to increase the rates of income tax on people earning more than $75,000 a year. They're also massively in favour of lifting the income tax rates on people earning more than $7,500 a year. They want everyone taxed to smithereens. It is the Green way. It is the Marxist principles of the party. But they're also sceptical of the council tax freeze, first announced by Humza Yousaf at the SNP conference, which they believe favours the better off. It's not a case of belief. It physically does. It absolutely does. But, as I say, I don't think there's going to be a freeze in council tax. Some councils are, especially non-SNP councils, are probably still going to go ahead with their council tax rises. They're not, like I say, obligated to freeze it. So they will get their monies from central government, thank you very much, cough up, bing, 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 and then put it up anyway. There's nothing stopping them doing it. Because Alibaba does not have the legal power to impose upon councils. And of course, the important thing was Alibaba broke the Verity House Agreement, which was a sort of not a legal binding thing, but it was an agreement in principle to show mutual respect and to do these things. Well, he broke that, so they're under even less obligation to even stand by it now. This is what happens when morons are allowed to make speeches without having people approve them first. I've got no idea what I'm going to say. Bing! Council tax freeze. What an idiot. Anyway, in an article for The Record, Greer said of the income tax rises, it's important to the Greens that the richest pay the most to support public services like our NHS. That's why we've secured a series of tax changes since 2018, the result of which is an extra 1.5 billion next year alone for the services that we all rely on. And that number is falling because people are leaving. Even he's got to admit that, and they're already seeing it. When Labour MSPs criticise those fair tax changes, they say they should list the services they've cut instead. Well, that's easy. Foreign embassies, number 1. 8 million a month on spin doctors, number 2. All the independence bullshit, number 3. There you go, Ross. How much do you want to save? Your job. Bing, gone. And more savings. It's great. Anyway, the new tax band for those earning 75 to 125,000 reflects our belief that the top 5% of earners can afford to pay a bit more, again, to protect essential services. But what are you going to do, Ross, when that top 5% bugger off to England? Are you going to tax the next 5%? What will they do? Oh, the same thing. And all the way down until eventually there's 5 people left in Scotland, and the Greens and the SNP are 4 of them. That poor one bastard working hard to keep you lot in your jam jars. Eh? Anyway, he was cooler on the council tax plan, and he said, while it's no secret that the council tax freeze would not be a Green choice, we share the First Minister's desire to help families through the cost crisis caused by the Greens and the SNP. Not Westminster. It's not Westminster wanking all the money away. The whole council tax system is unfair and decades out of date, though, he says. Our time and money would be better spent moving towards its complete replacement and investing instead in other anti-poverty measures. If you truly, truly want to get rid of council tax, the only way that it works, that is fair, is income tax based. And you abolish all council tax throughout Britain, and you uplift all income tax by, say, 2%, and be done with it. And then you allocate the income tax, that 2% income tax, to areas based on a mixture of the physical size of the constituency and the number of people in it. You can work out some algorithm to do it fairly. And then you just leave it there. Then the rich pay more, the poor pay less. Everybody's happy. And the councils don't have the worry of having to put up council tax and look like the bad guys. They are just responsible for spending it, not raising it. I think that's a great one. But of course they don't want that. Oh no, they don't want that. The local councils, they want the rate. They want the power to raise the money so they can raise a bit more to spend it on pies or whatever they want to spend it on, rather than having it allocated. And the SNP, oh, they don't want that, because it would mean that it would be allocated directly from general taxation in Westminster. There we go. Anyway, he said we just literally done that bit, sorry. And this is what happens. I do a tangent and then I come back and I don't know where I am. Anyway, anti-poverty campaigners have slammed the government over its freeze as it saves the low-income Scots around 53p a week, whereas it can save the ones in the big houses up the road £300 a month. Hey. Oh, £30 a month. 30 to £40 a month. Sorry, a year. £400 a year. Anyway, they wanted the £140 million earmarked for the freeze to be spent topping up the means-tested Scottish child payment. Or better still, going into education or the NHS. The government said the Scottish child payment will rise to £26.70 a week next year. God, reading's hard, isn't it? But redirecting the council tax freeze funding would have bumped it up to £34.50. The IPPR think tank said this decision would have taken 10,000 children out of poverty, which means that his decision, the brain trust, Alibaba, is leaving 10,000 children languishing in poverty because he is a knob. Oh, council tax freeze. I haven't worked it out, but I'll just say it because I'm an idiot. Well done. Stop voting for idiots. Anyway, I shall stop there, round off and come up. I still can't believe we're agreeing with Ross Greer. But only on that one issue. Everything else I disagree with him. But on that one issue, yeah, okay. But then it goes to show, a broken clock is right twice a day, isn't it? And boy, is Ross Greer a broken clock. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and I will speak to you later. Bye.